That night, I was probably completely drained. After settling my daughter, Nia, into her crib, I made my way to my room and collapsed into bed, falling asleep immediately. A few hours later, I was jolted awake by Nicholas crying. Still groggy, I checked my phone. It was 1 a.m. I was grateful for the little nap I'd had earlier, as I dragged myself out of bed, intending to go to the living room to calm her down, but just then, I heard a loud voice. "Quiet down, shut up for a minute." I couldn't figure out where the voice was coming from. I assumed it was my mother-in-law, Jamie, yelling from her room. I called out, "Yes, I'm coming to calm her down," and opened the door to the living room. To my shock, Jamie was standing over Nia's crib, glaring at her. Before I could react, she slapped Nia's face, shouting, "That's enough already." "What are you doing?" I screamed, my voice louder than ever before. Jamie seemed momentarily stunned, then shot back, "Why didn't you calm her down earlier? This child is so noisy." In a panic, I rushed to Nia's crib, scooping her up to shield her from Jamie's wrath. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. She had hit a baby. I'm Candice, a 28-year-old stay-at-home mom. I used to work in an office, but now I'm on maternity leave, handling the house and taking care of Nia. My husband, Miles, and I moved in with my mother-in-law, Jamie, about a year ago. Miles's job kept him busy, and he worried about leaving me alone while pregnant. He also felt bad about Jamie living alone since my father-in-law, Willis, had passed away 2 years ago, so we decided to move in together. At first, everything was fine, but slowly, Jamie's true nature began to show. Honestly, I was struggling. "Candice, you're so slow with your chores, aren't you? Can't you make better food?" Jamie would criticize me relentlessly. Before my father-in-law passed away, I never had issues visiting Jamie's house, so I didn't think much of her, but after he died and we moved in, her selfishness and rudeness were hard to bear. "Hurry up with the cleaning, you're so useless, slow and ugly," she would insult me. The latter part wasn't even about housework, it was just cruel. Yes, I was slower because I was pregnant, but Jamie didn't care. She just seemed to enjoy belittling me. Miles was rarely home. He'd often be away on business trips, and when he was home, it was late, sometimes not until midnight. So, I spent most of my time with Jamie, hoping that once the baby came, things would get better. Surely, even Jamie would soften a little being around her grandchild. That was my desperate hope. I did vent to Miles through WhatsApp, keeping it mild so as not to disturb his work, and he'd always reply with, "I'm really sorry, I wish I could be there for you." He'd try to talk to Jamie whenever he could, so knowing he was on my side helped ease my stress. That's why I tried to endure Jamie's constant criticism about the housework while I was pregnant. Eventually, I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Miles, bless him, managed to get approval from his company to leave work early and made it to the hospital just in time. When he held our daughter for the first time, he looked at her with joy and said, "She's so cute, like an angel." I couldn't have been happier, sharing this moment with the man I love. I texted Jamie to tell her about the birth, but she didn't respond, not even with a congratulations. She didn't even come to visit us in the hospital. I began to wonder, did she not care about her granddaughter? The thought made my stomach churn, and I feared that the harassment would continue. Just as I was thinking about that, my sister-in-law, Leela, arrived at the hospital to visit. Leela is always kind and cheerful, and I've always had a good relationship with her. She's married and has kids of her own, so I was planning to ask her for advice on parenting. "What's her name?" she asked. "Miles, and I named her Nia," I replied. "That's a beautiful name." "Wait, didn't Mom come?" "No, I contacted her, but she ignored the message." "I see. She's so unpredictable and lacks any common sense, doesn't she?" "Yeah," I sighed. Leela has always been straightforward, and I appreciated that. She'd once told me, "If you ever need to vent about living with Mom, I'm here." That gave me comfort, and during tough times, I'd go to Leela to unload my frustration. Leela understood Jamie's difficult nature, so she knew better than to scold Jamie for my complaints. She didn't want to make things worse for me. Just having someone to listen helped me cope, though I had no idea things would get more challenging once Nia arrived. When I was discharged from the hospital and returned home with Nia, Jamie didn't even acknowledge her. "Get to work and clean up," she snapped. It was as though Nia didn't even exist to her. Annoyed but trying to stay calm, I put Nia in her crib and started cleaning, but a few minutes later, Jamie's yelling rang out. "Candice, come here." "What is it?" I called out. "That baby's crying, do something about it." I couldn't believe it. She referred to my daughter as that baby, as if she was just an annoyance. Jamie went on to shout commands for me to change Nia's diaper, clean the crib, and everything else she could think of, all while treating Nia like an inconvenience. I tried to keep my cool, but it was hard. Whenever Nia cried, Jamie would get angrier and yell at me to take care of it, all while criticizing me for being slow at housework or not taking care of Nia in the right way. It was an exhausting balancing act. Miles was away for a business trip that lasted nearly 2 months. I tried reaching out to him over WhatsApp and the phone, but he was so busy and we couldn't talk for long. He'd apologize again and again, saying, "I'm really sorry, but I didn't want him to feel guilty while working so hard for our family." Then, something truly unbelievable happened. That night, I was so tired that I fell asleep as soon as I put Nia to bed. Hours must have passed before anything else occurred. One night, I woke up abruptly to the sound of Nia crying. Still groggy, I checked my phone. 1 a.m. I was relieved that I'd gotten a bit of sleep earlier, so I dragged myself out of bed, planning to go to the living room to calm her down. But before I could move, I heard a loud voice shouting, "Shut up, be quiet for a second." I couldn't tell where it came from, but I assumed it was Jamie yelling from her room. I called out, "Yes, I'm coming to soothe her now," and opened the living room door. To my shock, there stood Jamie, glaring down at Nia in her crib. Without warning, she slapped Nia's face and shouted, "Enough already." I was in complete disbelief. "What are you doing?" I yelled, louder than ever before. Jamie looked momentarily taken aback before shouting back, "Why didn't you calm her down sooner? She's so noisy." In a panic, I rushed to the crib, scooped Nia up, and cradled her, horrified by what I had just witnessed. How could someone hit a baby? A 3-month-old baby? I couldn't wrap my head around it. Nia's cries grew louder, her face turning red from distress. I immediately called an ambulance. At the hospital, the doctor checked Nia over, assuring me that though her face was red, there were no signs of bruises or serious injuries, which was a huge relief. I nearly collapsed from the stress. "What happened? Did you drop her or something?" the doctor asked. I explained the situation, and just then, Leela walked in. "Candy, is Nia okay?" "Oh, Leela." I had called her in a panic on the way to the hospital, even though it was the middle of the night. Miles was on a business trip and couldn't come right away, so Leela stepped in to explain everything to the doctor. She was furious, and the doctor was at a loss for words. The next day, Leela came with me when I returned home. I let her confront Jamie first. When Jamie saw her, she acted as though nothing had happened and started harassing me as usual. "You're late. Hurry up and make breakfast. You missed taking out the trash this morning. You can't even do housework properly." "That's enough," I snapped. "Did you forget what happened yesterday? You slapped a 3-month-old. How can you act so normal? You owe me an apology for what you did." Jamie's face flushed with anger. "What? Apologize? That child was so noisy. I slapped her because she wouldn't stop. It's part of discipline." "That's not discipline. It's abuse," I yelled. "Enough, you're so noisy. Just do your chores," Jamie shouted, brushing me off. "You don't regret it, do you?" I asked, my voice shaking. "You don't even think you did anything wrong?" "Leela, come in here." Leela stepped into the living room, and Jamie was immediately flustered. "What's Leela doing here, Mom? Do you realize that what you did is punishable by law?" Leela asked. Jamie's face went pale. "Leela, you're not going to sue your own mother, are you?" "The one who's going to sue is Candy. I'll represent her," Leela said firmly. "But it was just part of her education," Jamie protested. "Who would call hitting a baby education? This is assault. No matter how you try to justify it, what you did is inexcusable. I'm going to sue you. Prepare for it," I told her. Jamie's demeanor shifted. She started crying, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Candy. I always lose control when I get angry. I've been so regretful, and I've been depressed for how I've treated you and Nia. I'm really sorry. I've always wanted a grandson. Willis always wanted a grandson too, and when Nia was born, I was happy but also felt like I failed. I'm sorry," she continued, her voice breaking. "Please, Candy, I'll change. I'll do anything." I almost softened at her words, but then Leela spoke up. "Don't fall for this, Candy. Mom always pretends to be deeply sorry when she's caught, but the tears dry up as soon as she thinks she's out of trouble. She did the same when Dad found out about her affair. He forgave her, and then it was like nothing had happened. This is the same act." Leela's words made Jamie hesitate. "What are you saying, Leela?" But as I looked at Jamie, her tears had already dried up. confirming that her sorrow was just for show. Jamie, I can't forgive you anymore. How twisted do you have to be to pretend to be sorry for something so terrible? I'm not trying to escape anything, Jamie insisted. Well, we've already decided to take legal action, I said firmly. Jamie's face turned red with fury. You're going to do this to me? You're my daughter-in-law. How dare you treat me like this? Just then, the door opened, and Miles walked in. Candy, is Nia okay? Miles, what are you doing here? I thought you couldn't come because of the business trip, I said, surprised. I'd only messaged him on WhatsApp, and somehow, he managed to drive straight here, arriving after driving all night. Miles, even you're blaming me? Jamie wailed. What's wrong with you? You always left us with Aunt while you went off to play. All our good memories are of the meals Aunt made for us, not you, Miles replied coldly. Mom, just admit it. The doctor must have already reported you to the authorities, he continued. What? Jamie sputtered. The hospital knows what you did, and it's only a matter of time before the police arrive, Miles said. I nodded. I'm sorry, Mom, but I can't let you off the hook for this. Jamie finally seemed to grasp the gravity of the situation. Her face went ashen, and she slumped in defeat as the police arrived to arrest her. As a first-time offender, she received a suspended sentence, but Miles and Leela both cut ties with her and issued restraining orders. Miles and I moved out with Nia and found a new apartment. We stayed briefly with Leela, who was a huge support. Miles, I'm so happy. I'll take parental leave, or if not, I'll change jobs to make sure you and Nia are safe. His decision filled me with relief and happiness. Even though his company didn't allow parental leave, Miles quit and found another job. Now he comes home on time, helps with Nia, and shares the housework. We live near Leela's family, and we enjoy spending time together, having barbecues, and sharing meals. As for Jamie, I haven't heard from her since the arrest. She's become isolated and doesn't go out. I'm not concerned anymore. She doesn't know where we've moved, so we can live our lives in peace. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay stunned.